Welcome to Gorilla Sports Off Court. I'm your host for today, Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Gorilla Sports Off Court. Thank you so much for being here, sending you all my love on this Monday. And we're going to talk a little bit of Denver Nuggets. Should Nikola Jokic win MVP? What has Russell Westbrook truly done for this team? Who are the most valuable players on this Nuggets team? These are the things we're going to talk about. These are the things that we're going to discuss. But I want to start with a clip that I'm seeing all over my Twitter, all over my timeline. And it's a clip from Jalen Brunson's podcast. I'm not sure if it's his podcast or if it's just a podcast that he does. I believe it's his podcast. And he talked a little bit about the MVP race. And I want to start by saying, as a Nuggets fan, I do my very, very best to show my team love when they deserve it, but also keep it very real and keep it very transparent. And one thing that I always really strive to do in this industry and in my job is keep my takes very consistent, right? I don't want to just show favoritism towards Jokic and not extend that same grace or appreciation to other players across the league. If you did not see the clip, Jalen Brunson was basically talking about how Nikola Jokic has insane numbers right now, and everybody already is talking about him being the most valuable player. And the comparison that he made was to Luka Doncic. When Luka Doncic was averaging damn near a triple-double, he had insane numbers as well. People weren't wanting to give him the credit for most valuable player because of where the Mavericks were seated. And Jalen Brunson's point was the Nuggets aren't really seated in the same position that they have been in years past when Nikola Jokic was like hands down MVP. It's not even close. Now, what's interesting about this comparison is I would say you have a better argument comparing Nikola Jokic to like an SGA, right? The OKC Thunder, high-seeded team in the Western Conference, arguably one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And what SGA is doing with that team right now is putting up exceptional numbers. He is showing the value that he brings to OKC. But here's where I want to challenge anybody that heard Jalen Brunson's take and is automatically like, yeah, he's got a point. He does have a point, for sure. And I think the most valuable player award has lost some of its value because we've created it and turned it into a popularity contest. There's a lot of seasons where I don't agree with the most valuable player award. I don't think that it's deserved. I don't think Joel Embiid should have gotten it over Nikola Jokic. That's my opinion. Now, I can also see what Jalen Brunson is saying, that we can't pick and choose when seeding matters, right? We can't pick and choose when all of a sudden we want to value the seed of a team with Luka, but we don't want to have that same thing. We don't want to hold Nikola Jokic to that same standard when he's winning MVP. But here's where I'm going to say it's a little different. There, to me, is no competition in this department. Luka has way more support around him to be a higher seeded team than Nikola Jokic does, which is why in a lot of seasons, it is hands down Nikola Jokic's award, because anybody with eyes, just put it through the eye test. Don't even look at statistics. Don't even look at numbers. Just watch the Denver Nuggets and watch how differently this team looks when Nikola Jokic is on the bench. Luka Doncic still has Kyrie Irving. This year, he's got Klay Thompson, which is why he probably won't win MVP, no matter what his numbers look like, because he has a supporting cast around him that makes his life easier. Now, where I don't want to contradict myself and be a giant hypocrite is I'm going to say I actually think Russell Westbrook is going to hurt Nikola Jokic's chances at winning most valuable player. Why? Because he now has a little bit more support around him. Russell Westbrook is making Nikola Jokic's life easier. That is literally what we're watching unfold right now. Russell Westbrook in his own right is a respective superstar and a phenomenal player, and he himself is doing a lot for this Denver Nuggets team. But in doing that, he is making Nikola Jokic's life easier. We don't stress as much in non-Jokic minutes. We don't see a fall off offensively when Jokic isn't on the floor. We still do, but it's not as bad when you've got Russell Westbrook on this team now. So I would argue Westbrook is probably going to hurt Nikola Jokic's chances at MVP because you've now got two very valuable players on the floor. So to make the comparison to Luka just doesn't make sense to me, because I would argue Luka had a much stronger supporting cast around him. And that's probably one of the reasons he didn't win MVP. I get it. The casual basketball fans, and I'm sure some of the voters as well, maybe held the seeding of the Mavericks against Luka Doncic. I don't agree with that. I really don't. I've actually said many times in both the NFL and the NBA that I'm not sure a record should determine whether or not you win MVP. If that's the case, if we didn't consider record, it would be Joe Burrow's award in the NFL right now, and it wouldn't even be close. But unfortunately, they do care about things like that. And it's not always fair across the board. And sometimes they choose to overlook it, and other times they don't. But to me, I've never watched a season where, in my opinion, Luka Doncic is hands down your most valuable player, because there's a lot of valuable players on that team, whether it's defensively or it's offensively. Getting Kyrie Irving definitely stood in Luka's way of getting that award, because both of them are highly valuable to that team. But for so many seasons with Jokic, he's had a very weak supporting cast around him game to game. And I don't say weak because Aaron Gordon's not doing enough, or MPJ's not doing enough, or Jamal Murray's not doing enough. But it is very clear when Jokic isn't out there, the talent in the starting five on the Denver Nuggets looks significantly different without Jokic out there. That is why, to me, you can't really make the comparison between Luka and Nikola Jokic. So while I appreciate Jalen Brunson's sentiment, I don't think that they're comparable. I really, really don't. Now, if we want to talk about this season and the fact that people are already chanting MVP from the rooftops for Nikola Jokic, as time has gone on, I don't know if Nikola Jokic is my MVP pick, because I'm watching Russell Westbrook now become the Nuggets' second most valuable player, and he's bringing a lot of value to this team. But you could also make a case for SGA, the talent that he has around him any given night. There's so many extra factors that aren't consistently thought about when giving out the MVP award. So I can understand the frustration for the players of the lack of consistency in this award. But unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. Like I said, if we didn't care about records when it came to this MVP award, Josh Allen nor Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, would even be in conversation. It would be Joe Burrow without a shadow of a doubt. But that is unfortunately not the way the system works. That's not the way this award has developed over time. It's become a popularity contest, and they do have certain players in mind that I think they prefer to give the MVP award to. Let's just call it what it is. And so the seeding for the Mavericks may take a blow to Luka's chances at MVP, because they're looking at that roster going, you shouldn't be seated this low with an MVP and the supporting cast that you have around your MVP. It doesn't make sense. Now, with the Denver Nuggets, you're maybe willing to have a little bit more grace on where they're seated and how they're winning games, and who they're losing games to, because in a lot of games, Jokic is the only person that shows up. So it does feel like a landslide when we're talking about Nikola Jokic, because just watch the Nuggets. Just watch the Nuggets. And the difference of what this team looks like with him on the floor versus not on the floor is substantial. Is it substantial in the same way when Luka's not on the floor? Sometimes, sure, but not all the time. You've still got Kyrie Irving out there. Let's not forget that man is respectively a GOAT in a lot of ways. He's one of my favorite ball handlers in the league. One of my favorites. For a long time, he's been one of my favorites. So I just think it kind of feels like comparing apples to oranges. I think in so many ways, Nikola Jokic is just different. He's on a different planet. In my opinion, Nikola Jokic is not the type of player that you can just look at his stats and judge what he's doing. The stats are enough, by the way. This dude can get a triple-double in his sleep, and most of the time they're 40-point triple-doubles. We know the impact. Also, for weeks and weeks and weeks, he was leading the league in three-point percentage as a center in the NBA, okay? So he's an anomaly in so many ways. But you can't really just focus on stats for Jokic. That's enough if you wanted to. If you're a numbers guy and that's all you want to look at, fine. You're probably okay to do that. But Jokic, his game can't really be described simply based off of stats. The eye test is crucial when you're watching Nikola Jokic play basketball, when you're determining the impact that he has on the team that he's on, because that's what most valuable player means. Who is the most valuable? The value in the Denver Nuggets is significantly different with Jokic on the floor versus with Jokic off the floor. If we just picked MVP based off of your personal stats, I think the MVP race would look different every single year. It'd be significantly different than what we've seen over the past 5 seasons. This is a star-driven league. The expectation is that most of the contenders for MVP are scoring 40 points, are shooting threes, are lights out from the three-point line, are getting around a triple-double from time to time. That's the expectation in a star-driven league. But in order to make it fair with the most valuable player, you have to look at the impact they have on their team. Of course, Luka Doncic has a massive impact with the Dallas Mavericks. That is common sense at this point. But there's enough around him that without him, they're okay. So I don't know. I just think that it's not something that you can I don't know. I just think it's not something that you can compare Luka and Jokic to, right? Jokic was seriously maybe one of, if not like the most important piece in their championship run when they won a ring. And let's not forget, Jalen Brunson. I'm not sure you're ever going to hear this clip, but let's not forget it took a lot of people. It took a lot of time, and it took a ring for some people to start truly taking Nikola Jokic seriously. So let's not pretend like he hasn't also dealt with that BS of people just trying to interfere with the obvious, which is the value he brings to the Denver Nuggets. I think the most valuable player, the MVP award, is a very tough award when you're on a team with a lot of really solid talent that shows up on a consistent basis. But anybody that watches the Denver Nuggets consistently knows there's a lot of nights that Jokic feels like he's out there by himself. Like I said at the top of the show, I think that Jokic's chances at MVP are going to slowly get less and less because of what we're seeing with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is making Jokic's life easier. So he's not as valuable as he was last season. He's not as valuable as he was in 2023 because you've also got a Russell Westbrook that's adding a lot of value. So much so that against the Dallas Mavericks, with Russell Westbrook guarding the Mavericks, this is a stat that I'm going to have to repeat because you're going to say, did I just hear that right? Yeah, you did. Here's the statistic for you, okay? Russell Westbrook, when guarding the Mavericks just the other night when the Nuggets came out on top with a win, Dallas shot 0% when guarded by Russ. Talk to me again about how this wasn't a good idea. Please, I'm waiting for it. I want to hear it. I want to hear the nonsense flying out of your mouth in thinking that Russell Westbrook was not a good idea for the Denver Nuggets. Please, lay it on me. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Russell Westbrook, what he's doing right now is, like I said, making Jokic's life easier. But I would argue right now, outside of Nikola Jokic, Russell Westbrook is the most valuable player on the Denver Nuggets. You get a Jamal Murray that's out after only 16 minutes of playing with knee soreness. Have no fear, Russell Westbrook is here. That's how I feel. To me, I am starting to get to that place where with Russ on the floor, I feel good. I feel confident. I feel comfortable. And that's a feeling that normally in non-Jokic minutes, I am in panic mode. I am freaking the F out. And what Russell Westbrook is doing right now is there's layers to this, right? From an emotional standpoint, he is treating every game like it's a championship. He has a championship mentality that I think the Nuggets lost after they won a championship, right? When they went from the hunters to the hunted, that the Nuggets do very well with being villainized, with being underestimated, with being the underdogs. But sadly, we're in an era of Denver Nuggets basketball that it's really hard to consider the Nuggets an underdog if Jokic is on the floor. It's the best player in the world. So they've kind of lost that being underestimated mentality is really hard to have when Jokic is playing on your team. So what Russ does is be quiet, Westbrook lady. Here's the deal. Lakers coming for you, Liv. Bring them on. Where are they? Actually, please bring them because they've been awfully quiet in my notifications as of late. They've been real effing quiet, and I'm actually waiting for them to say something. Stand up. Say it, and say it with your chest, please and thank you. The same way you said it with your chest earlier this season, waiting for Russell Westbrook to fail, please. Join the chat. Join the chat. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a special episode of Off Court where I allow you to maybe get on camera with me and run your mouth with your face the same way you do with your Twitter fingers. I'm ready for it. I'm locked and loaded. I have an arsenal full of things I could say to the Los Angeles Lakers fans. I typically don't waste my breath because why would I? I don't care enough about Lakers fans, but please tell them to come one, come all. I want to have the convo, please. I would love to have it. Here's the beautiful thing about where the Denver Nuggets are at right now. They were winning games, right? They kind of got back on track. I've talked about many times how the month of January is exceptionally important for this team. All without Aaron Gordon. You get Aaron Gordon back. He didn't start. We're kind of easing him back into the madness, right? Because we don't want to push it too much. We know he plays a very physical game. He goes body to body with just about anybody in the league. So we want to preserve that, right? We don't want to, lose him when we need him. Aaron Gordon is one of those guys. You want to have him full steam ahead, ready to go in a deep playoff run, right? He is very, very valuable to this team. But Aaron Gordon, easing back into it. He has been out for over half the season now, you guys. Over half the season, we've been without Aaron Gordon. And in his 18 minutes that he played, 6 total rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, only 1 turnover, 13 points. Welcome back, baby. We missed you. We missed you bad. Some of the comments, they want to fight, I bet. I mean, let them fight. Oh, this is the greatest thing about the Lakers fans. They either are flexing rings that happened before they were even conceived, or they're flexing a banner from an in-season tournament that nobody gives a flip about. Please, come on. Let's keep talking. I love this. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. I love it. Lakers fans always want to make it about themselves. Always. It's exhausting, really. And to those of you that are sitting there, Liv always makes it about herself. It's my show. Hi, hello. Yep. I'm going to make it about me and the Denver Nuggets pretty much every single time. So welcome. Welcome to the madhouse. This is what we do over here. I had a conversation with somebody and they were asking about, and maybe it's because of this Jalen Brunson clip and it's circulating and everyone's got strong opinions, yada, yada. I was having a conversation with someone and they asked, like, how would you feel about a Nuggets-Knicks finals? No disrespect. No disrespect at all. But I'd like to see the Knicks get through the Eastern Conference first. Same goes for my Denver Nuggets. This is the thing. This is the thing about some of you major sports fans. Don't let your fandom cloud your judgment. I am fully willing to sit here and say, I've said it 75, 80, 90, 1,000 times. It is going to be very difficult for this Nuggets team to make it out of the Western Conference. Why? The Western Conference is a flipping bloodbath. Okay? What I would like to see from this Knicks team before I even start entertaining the idea of meeting them in the finals is watching them compete against some solid competition. They got beat by the Thunder. That's the best team in the Western Conference, no? Okay, they beat the Bucks. I'm really not bought into the Bucks like a lot of other people, so I would expect the Knicks to win that game. The Magic beat them. The Thunder beat them twice, actually. I'm looking at their schedule right now. The Bulls beat them. Okay, they beat the Jazz. I would hope so. I think my dog can beat the Jazz. The Nuggets barely did, so let me not talk too much here. I want to see this Knicks team compete a little bit more. 3-point game between them and the Spurs. So before I can even entertain the idea of having a Knicks Nuggets finals, I need both of those teams to show that they can beat really great teams in their respective conferences before I even entertain the idea of seeing them in a finals spot. This is the difference between me and a lot of other sports fans. I can keep it 100 about the Nuggets. Any person that's tuned into my shows knows I am not always rainbows and butterflies over here. One of the largest compliments I get when I meet people in person and they are like, I watch your content. I love how you keep it real. Yeah. Trust me, just as much as I'm a reporter, I'm also a fan. And when my team's not doing their job, it ticks me off, okay? That's the deal. So it's going to take time, yes. And that's also why, and I jokingly jump to it a lot. And I'm like, MVP race is over, wrap it up, pack it up. I'm mostly kidding, you guys. To have the conversation about MVP right now is hilarious. It is way too early to be having that conversation. Right here, the Knicks are 0-5 versus the top two teams in both conferences. I think that pretty much says it right there. No? I love the Knicks. Actually, I've spoken very highly of the Knicks. I spoke very highly of the Knicks last season. I love the Knicks. I love what the Knicks are capable of. I love what the Knicks, the roster that the Knicks have. They're third in the Eastern Conference right now. The Nuggets just behind the Grizzlies here for that three seed in the West. So you could argue they're pretty evenly matched if they were to meet in a final spot right now. But I think that it's a little too early to be having that conversation. I want to see the Knicks compete against the Cavs and the Celtics a little bit more before I even picture them in a final spot. Matter of fact, I did have a hot take at the beginning of the season, and that is that after regular season play, the Orlando Magic would be a higher seed than the New York Knicks. I also predicted that the 76ers would not make the playoffs. I know a thing or two about ball. I get it. I'm a woman. It's hard for some of you to swallow that pill. But I do know ball. I talk ball all the time. I love the Knicks. I think the Knicks have a lot of talent. What version of Karl Anthony Towns do you get in the postseason? The one that's constantly in foul trouble? The one that's playing soft? Or the one that was finally finding continuity with his old team and then got traded? This is a new team for Cat. He's not the most trustworthy person in the world in a postseason run. Let's just be real. He can be when he wants to be, but he's not always that way. Jalen Brunson, I have nothing but flowers to give for Jalen Brunson. Love him, but is he enough? Not sure he is. So as much as I love the Knicks, I think it's a little too early to have that conversation. What I can say in regards to the Knicks is Jalen Brunson's podcast he just released. I don't think it's fair to compare Luka and Jokic when we're talking about an MVP award, because most people that have watched both of those teams would argue Luka has had a better supporting cast than Nikola Jokic has. That's also something to consider. I'm not saying I agree with holding a seed over an MVP's head. I don't agree with that. I've been fighting all season long for Joe Burrow to be the MVP. I get it. Their record was not as great as Josh Allen's and Lamar Jackson's, but it doesn't take away from the value he brought to the Bengals, right? So I don't agree with seeding being held over these teams' heads or these players' heads who are trying to get an MVP award. One of the beautiful things I love about Nikola Jokic is he's a should-have-been 4-time MVP, and he could give a rat's ass about the award. He doesn't care. We care for him. He doesn't care. Okay? So I actually think that right now the Nuggets are in a position where they're a contending team, in my opinion. I don't doubt that for a second. But Jokic, to me, is probably no longer the front runner to win MVP because he's got another valuable player alongside him in what we're seeing happen with Russell Westbrook. It's that simple. This comment, but those numbers he had with that supporting cast proves Luka deserved MVP last year. You could make a case for that, right? The fact that he was able to put up those numbers with the supporting cast that he had, he probably deserved it. That's fair. You could also, you could use that argument against what I'm saying as well. My point is that's why you really can't talk about seeding, because there's so many factors involved with that. So many. So I don't agree with the seeding thing. I'm with Brunson on that. You can't pick and choose when you use it against a player. But I would argue Luka had a lot more help around him to be a higher seeded team than the Nuggets maybe currently are. So that's why I just think you just forget about the seeding, because it just shouldn't matter when we're talking about an MVP. How do you feel about Shai versus Jokic MVP race, Liv? Like I said, I think that Russell Westbrook is going to start making it really tough for Jokic to be the MVP again. One, I think voter fatigue is truly a thing. And I think anyone that's not a Nuggets fan is sick of seeing Jokic win the award. Too bad. He's not going anywhere, and he's not slowing down anytime soon. So you're just going to have to get on board, or you're just going to have to get over it. It's really that simple. But I can understand voter fatigue is a thing, and it will play a role here. So, Yeah. I mean, I just think Russell Westbrook attached with Jokic here is going to make it a little tougher for Jokic to win. That being said, the Nuggets are trending in the right direction. We've got Aaron Gordon back on the floor. We've got Russell Westbrook shutting teams out when he's defending them. And also, triple-double machine. He was 3 assists shy of a triple-double again this season. So what we're watching happen with this Nuggets team is chef's kiss. I love it. I'm going to get out of here, though, because I think we've got some hockey stuff that's about to be happening right here live in the studio. I just wanted to hop on here, vent a little bit. You guys know how I operate. Tomorrow night, the Nuggets will be playing the Mavericks again on the road. So you can expect a little post-game live reaction show from me for tomorrow's game. I'll be at my home studio, but we'll be doing a post-game live together. I always appreciate you guys' support. This has been presented by Trusted American Mortgage. You can scan the QR code that just flashed above my head, or you can go to trustedamerican.com, see how they can help you save some money either by lowering your monthly payment or getting you a better interest rate. Shout out to our friends over at Trusted American, and shout out to the Denver Nuggets and Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic and everything that they're building towards. The month of January is going to be where we figure out, is this Nuggets team contenders or pretenders? And right now, I'm trending towards contenders. So thank you guys for being here. Much love to you. This has been another Guerrilla Sports Off Court. I'm your host, Liv Moods, and we'll catch you tomorrow night for a post-game live reaction following the Nuggets on the road again, taking on the Dallas Mavericks.